Hi, my name is Alexi, and today we're going to talk about how to produce a shoot. At the beginning of your career, you may or may not be lucky enough to have the luxury of having a producer on set to produce your whole shoot. At the beginning, you might be asked to So you may be asked to produce your own shoot for an editorial or for a very small money-paying job. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is to call up agencies and get options on your desired team. And that includes hair, makeup, stylists, manicurists, set designers. So you're going to call up the agents, give them the date of your shoot, and then they're going to say whether you have a first option or a second option, or if they're not available. First option means that they are available on that date and you have the option to confirm them. Second option means that they've already got a first option on another job, but if that doesn't happen, then you have the second option to book them. Okay, so even if you only have a second option, you can challenge their first option. And that means that you're going to ask their agents to essentially force the other client to either book them or release them. And if they release them, then you have the option to book them. But if you have challenged them and you get the option, then you have to book them. So that counts also for studios. So you've got to make sure you book your studios and locations well in advance. Essentially, production is all about having a really tight to-do list, okay? So on each task, you should have 2 boxes next to it. And you check the box once when you've opened lines of communication regarding that task, and you check the second box once that task is completed. Budget. Basically, the budget is basically the amount of money that has been set aside for this shoot. The most difficult part of this job is making sure that you do not go over budget, so don't. Okay, so you've got to make sure that you plan for everything. You've got to make sure you budget for every little cost, whether it's post-production, whether it's catering, whether it's travel, whether it's photo equipment, whether it's for heaters, whatever it is. If you go over budget, it's going to come out of your pocket. So you also maybe have a little buffer in your budget for miscellaneous items. Whatever that amount is that you can put aside for that, there's going to be stuff that crops up that you could never have planned for, and you need to have a little budget for that. If you're over budget, you're going to have to try and get discounts from people, whether it's your photo equipment, from your studios, locations, whoever it is. If you have repeat vendors who you work with all the time, you're more likely to get discounts from them because of your loyalty to them. Probably the most important thing you're going to have on this whole shoot is your job Bible. This is a book or a file that everything goes into. Your invoices, your estimates, your receipts, your anything that is involved with the job goes into that, okay? Sometimes as a photographer, you might have to pay for the whole production, especially if it's for an editorial for a magazine that has no budget. Think about this as an investment, because if the shoot goes really well and people see it in the magazines, then they are more likely to book you for a money job. Location or studio. So if you're shooting on location, then a contract needs to be signed and a fee needs to be negotiated. Come on through. If you go into studio, it's easier to produce because everything is in one building. The only problem with studio is you need to watch the clock because everybody's much more comfortable in studio, which means they tend to be a bit more lazy and they tend to drag things out. So keep an eye on that. So remember that fees for the studios or locations can also be negotiated to fit the budget. Sometimes the fee will depend on if it's for an advertising client or if it's for editorial. Call sheets. This is the most important thing to have on a shoot day. This is going to be sent out the night before the shoot. It's going to have every piece of detail about the shoot on this sheet. It's going to have every crew member's name. It's going to have their phone numbers. It's going to have their email addresses. It's going to have their agent's email addresses and phone numbers. You're going to have the location manager's phone number on there. You're going to have the caterer on there, the manicurist. Everybody who is involved with the shoot and everything that is involved with the shoot is going on that call sheet. So if you are traveling for a shoot, do you need a visa to go into that particular country? If you do not have a visa and you go into that country, then there's no visa, there's no entry, and that means no shoot. Okay, so shoot day. So like I said, if you're in the studio, there's less variables to worry about. It's a bit more controlled. If you're on location and you don't have a motorhome, think about where the hair and the makeup and styling is going to work out of. You need to have a space, whether it's a tent, whether it's a friend's apartment, whether it's just a curtain behind a tree, but you've got to have somewhere where they can work. You've also got to think about on location, everything takes more time. So you've got to think about the load-in time. Sometimes you need to get the crew and the equipment there earlier than the rest of the team because they might have one small elevator to go up to this place, or it's going to take an hour to get all the equipment in. So think about that. You've got to think about, do you have your permits with you? Always have your permit on you, because if a police officer comes along and says, hey, do you have a permit for this location? You can say, yes, here you go, boom, 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 clean, all right? Good production is all about being prepared for anything. Think about the weather. Have a weather app on your phone. Be checking the weather all the time. Because if you see a storm rolling in 15 minutes, you've got to think, how am I going to get everybody under cover? Do you have a big tarp? Do you have a tent? Do you have heaters? Think about it. So then think about how everybody is separated on set. Think about if you have a client, do you need to set up an area for the client that is a slightly bit away from the shoot area? Because sometimes you as a photographer are going to have to talk to your team about stuff that you don't necessarily want the client to hear, and also the client's going to be dealing with stuff that you don't necessarily need to hear on set. So think about how you can separate everybody into their little areas. Okay, so you have to pace yourself during the day. Think about how many shots you have to do and how much time you have to do it. Because if you take too long on each shot, then you're going to run into overtime. So overtime on models, crew, studio, location can be quite expensive, and that's going to completely blow your budget. Swish. Okay, so having food on set is crucial to a good shoot. If you have good food on set and keep everybody happy, food makes everybody happy. And if everybody's happy, everybody's doing good work. Even if you're trying to finish because it's getting later and later, people are getting hungrier and hungrier, and they're going to get more grumpy and more grumpy. So get some food in them. If you want to finish a shoot on a high note and get some good pictures, get them fed. As a producer, you've got to keep a cool head. When things go crazy, you've got to be the calm one who's able to figure out the solution. Try and get some friends. If you can't afford a producer, get a couple of friends to come on and just to help you with production. If you have a good team around you, everything's going to be okay. Okay, so treat everybody on set with equal respect, from the department heads to the assistants to the caterers to the set designers, everybody. Everybody has a very important job to do on set, and they're all helping to create beautiful imagery, hopefully. So make sure everybody has what they need to do their job, and be nice to them, because happy people make great work. Okay, so hopefully all this will give you a greater appreciation of what a producer has to go through. Being a producer is a thankless job, because when things go right, that's just what people expect. But when things go wrong, that's all they hear about. So good luck with your shoot. If you have any questions, any comments, you want me to do an episode on anything else, then write the comments below and I'll do my best to get it out there. All right. See you around.